rundown from TheSadFan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad. I mean, if you've been watching the past couple weeks, we've been talking a lot of smack about how Dabo is washed and how Dabo hasn't really done anything in this new era of the transfer portal. And God, it's never felt better to be right. Jesus. I mean, the game was closer than it actually was on the scoreboard because Clemson got whooped by Syracuse. And it's okay because Syracuse had a really good start. No, their starting quarterback went out with an Achilles tear. And Dabo Swinney could not beat the backup quarterback for the Syracuse Orange with his top 10 preseason ranked team. Dabo Swinney, I called him the king of the losers because he's won the ACC. And yes, he has won national championships. He won a couple big games and he did it at Clemson. But there comes a time where your clout runs out. And I've been saying this about Dabo Swinney now for multiple years and multiple weeks this year. It's done. You can't fall back and say, I win 9 games. Well, 7 out of those 9, 8 out of those 9 are terrible opponents. They're just not good. The ACC is not a good division, and I say that knowing that Miami is ranked number 2 in the nation. But Miami has done a ton of work to not be one of those terrible teams in the ACC. Miami has spent a ton of money to not be one of those terrible teams in the ACC. Clemson and Dabo Swinney refuse, and it's time to kick Dabo Swinney to the curb if you're Clemson, because you have all of this clout built up for these national championships, to recruit great players, but they want to get paid. And guess what? You can't put your foot down. That's just modern college football, and you have to adapt. You can either join them or lose to them at this point, and Clemson continues to lose to them, and at some point, Clemson fans have to say enough. All right, yes, thank you for all that you've done. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. It's enough with Dabo Swinney, and it's enough with his arrogance, and it's enough with him talking about how much he's won and he's going to go win somewhere else. No, you're not, because you refuse to accept the current landscape of college football, so you're not going to win anywhere else. And you're proving that because how the are you going to win somewhere else when you can't win with a loaded team? You can't coach. It's over. All right? It's done. Clemson and Dabo Swinney need to part ways. They're 1-3 in a season where they were ranked in the top 10 to start the season with a Heisman candidate quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, the number 2 ranked preseason quarterback in the nation, Cade Klubnik. I've never liked Cade Klubnik, ever. Like I said last show, you could go all the way back to last season and take a look. I have never been a fan of Cade Klubnik. I've never thought he was that good. But man, am I right. Man, am I right. We're going to get to the NFL and some other things I'm probably right about, and it's starting to look like I'm right about. But it feels so good, this week's episode, to be so damn right. Now, let's move on to other things that have happened in college football. Is the Big Ten overrated? It's important to ask this question as we just saw Indiana lay into Illinois. Now, Illinois, before this game, Illinois was ranked in the top 10. They were the number 9 ranked team. Indiana went in and put up a 60-burger on Illinois. Okay, so now Indiana is just outside the top 10 with that performance. Indiana and Cignetti, I don't know if they're a good team. I can't tell because I don't know that Illinois was a good team. I know they were ranked high, but this is why I have an issue with preseason rankings because it's hard to tell, are these teams actually good? Indiana hasn't played anyone besides Illinois. And yeah, they destroyed Illinois, but they also had some bad games at the beginning of the season. Michigan playing Nebraska this week. Nebraska looked very, very good. Now, Michigan's defense looks amazing. Michigan's run game looks fantastic. Michigan's passing game, again, under Sherrone Moore, looks terrible. And I know Sherrone Moore is suspended. I'm aware. However, this is still his team. He was still coaching prior to the season starting. The passing game needs to get fixed. Michigan looks awful, and they've got this quarterback that everyone's raving about, but I still can't see anything in the passing game. He can run. Are we the new Ohio State? Are we just going to have a quarterback that's a running back that can kind of throw? Anyway, we don't know if the Big Ten is any good because we haven't seen much from the Big Ten. We saw a USC, Michigan State game that was okay. We don't know anything about these teams either. Is USC good? Has Lincoln Riley fixed it? The AP didn't seem to think so leading into the season. The coaches didn't seem to think so leading into the season as they were unranked. They are now ranked. But where we're at with these teams is the Big Ten good? Like, can they actually hold up? Because Purdue was just thrashed by Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is coming off back-to-back losses. So now it's kind of like, is the Big Ten good? Do we have legs here? Now they've got the number one ranked team in the nation, but they beat what appears to be a not as good as we thought on paper Texas team. Like, Texas is, again, they're doing the thing where they're beating teams that aren't that good after a loss to Ohio State. And Ohio State didn't exactly thrash this Texas team. They beat them, but they just barely beat them. Arch, is he coming into his own, or is he just running the ball a little bit more, or is he just playing bad teams? There's a lot of questions, basically, is what I'm saying. But there is one thing we do not have a question about as it pertains to this college football season, and that is Texas Tech's defense. They paid a ton of money for their defense this year, a ton of money for their defense, and they are getting those dividends because Texas went into Utah, and they crushed them. They turned the ball over multiple times. Now, this game was a cavalcade of errors. There were so many turnovers on both sides of the ball, but Texas Tech definitely looks the better team. Now, their starting quarterback also went out, much like Syracuse's quarterback went out against Clemson. And they have a backup that is a freshman that is really good. That dude can spin the ball. He looked fantastic out there against the Utah defense that was playing really, really well before he came into the game. Utah was holding their own against this Texas Tech team before, now Utah was the higher ranked team, before this backup quarterback came in, and he lit them up. Texas Tech might have a quarterback controversy coming up here soon because that backup quarterback, that freshman, looked very, very, very good when the starter went out with a concussion. Texas Tech is another team that I'm thinking, like, you might have to watch out for this team as we move forward. They jumped up in the rankings to, I believe, 12 when they were sitting at 17. The team looked very good in their game, and it's hard to argue with them moving up in the ranking. That defense is for real. That defense will travel. That defense is a defense that is a playoff defense. The offense, questionable, but that backup quarterback, that freshman, came in and looked phenomenal. He looks like he could carry this team. He's got a fantastic arm. He's got great vision based on this game against a top 20 opponent in Utah. I think Texas Tech is someone that's going to surprise other teams moving forward. Utah, however, looked very bad, and they've got a few players from the transfer portal, but I've got something to say to you. As someone that worked in New Mexico for about 8 years in Albuquerque, if you are signing people in the transfer portal from the University of New Mexico to make your team better, I don't know if it's going to do it. I love the University of New Mexico. Their football team just has never been good, and their football team has never really produced phenomenal players besides one, and you know who I'm talking about. If that's what you're relying on, I don't know that I like your chances to be great in your league or in your divisions. Utah has got an uphill battle here if they want to make it to the Big 12 championship, and we'll see if they're able to do that. As it pertains to Illinois, I just don't know if they're going to be able to recover from this beatdown. Like, I don't know how they stayed ranked after they were throttled so badly at the hands of Indiana. I don't know that they should be ranked after that Indiana beatdown. But let's move on to the NFL, and let's talk a little bit about what we saw yesterday from the big league. Eagles, huh? Eagles do it again, and Eagles did it this time on the backs of their defense, and Jalen Hurts had to throw the ball. How about that? Jalen Hurts had to throw the ball. I don't know what's going on there in Philadelphia. I don't. I mean, they found a way to win, but again, much like I was saying earlier as it pertained to college football in Michigan, the Eagles have to find a way to throw this football. They've got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Hayden Hurst. Like, they've got good targets for Jalen Hurts to throw to, but they just don't like throwing the ball. They like to grind out games, and I don't know that they have to based on what we just saw against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, granted, it took 2 blocked field goals for the Eagles to win this game. One returned by big boy Jordan Davis. That boy can move. He was moving down the field. I would be terrified if I saw a man that side moving at that speed. But that won the game with another blocked field goal after blocking one previously in the game. And the Eagles look good on both sides of the ball. I worry about that passing game. I worry about the tensions in that locker room. It's hard to have a championship team last year in and year out. And part of the reason why it's so hard to have a championship team last is because of personalities. A.J. Brown was fed this week. A.J. Brown got the ball this week, but it took a long time to finally start feeding him the ball. And we all saw what happened last year with tensions in that locker room. And you got to wonder, is it going to boil over at some point if the Eagles can't find a way to throw this football or have enough trust in Jalen Hurts? Because is that what it is? Does Nick Sirianni just not trust Jalen Hurts? It took a long time to get to throwing the ball. It took a long time. They were only throwing it like it was the 90s. Like, okay, it's 3rd and long. We got to throw the ball. We got to get to a 4th and 1 so we can do a push. I guess we got to throw the ball. It's weird to watch this offense, and it's weird to watch them be so dominant. But the Rams had them dead to rights multiple times in this game. The Rams couldn't pull the trigger. Or maybe the Eagles were just that good in situational football. It's hard to tell. It's hard for me to put my faith in Nick Sirianni and say, yeah, he's just that good at situational football, because I don't know that that is true. Sometimes a team just has the juice, and it looks like the Philadelphia Eagles just have the juice right now because they had no business winning that game against the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams were the better team through the majority of that game, and the Eagles still pulled it out. The Eagles still moved to 3-0. The defending Super Bowl champions are undefeated this year so far, and for good reason, because they go out there and they steamroll teams. And it's been successful so far, and it looks to continue to stay successful. But I would love to see that team work all dimensions of their offense to include the passing game. I would love to see, since they have such a strong running game, them utilize that strong running game to open up lanes in the play action game and really let this offense off a leash, because I think this offense could be one of the more fun offenses, and we just haven't seen it this year. That'll also free up some space for Saquon Barkley to run this year, because Saquon Barkley has not really gotten to gallop this year, and we would love to see that aspect of this Eagles offense as well. It's just going to be difficult with their ability to really grind out games, and Nick Sirianni being totally comfortable with grinding out a ton of these games. Let's get to a team that's been less successful with so many changes that have happened in the offseason, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, I told you so, Las Vegas Raiders fans. I told you Pete Carroll is not enough. I told you that not signing any receivers is not enough. I told you that Jacoby Myers, though he has been good, has only been this good because of a high usage rate, much like the NBA uses that stat. You cannot have Jacoby Myers be your number 1 receiver and be a great NFL team. You cannot have almost nobody in your secondary, a washed Jamal Adams in your secondary, and be a great football team. You cannot have maybe one linebacker in White who's trying to make a comeback. Like, I liked White's game prior to this year, but he's trying to make a comeback this season. He's trying to return to greatness. There is no one on this team, on this defense, beside Max Crosby that you would want on your team if you were doing a fantasy draft today to start your franchise. It is just Max Crosby on that defensive side of the ball. Patrick Graham has been utterly terrible, and the Raiders nation keeps defending Patrick Graham over and over and over again to me. And I say this to you, what has he done? What does he want? What has happened? The underbelly of that defense is so soft. I have said this repeatedly. If you want to beat a Patrick Graham defense, just throw underneath repeatedly, and then you'll have one over the top. And what happened? Over the top twice. Twice in 2 necessary, we need to turn the ball over situations. Twice. McLaurin and McCaffrey. Over the top. And they were playing Jaden Daniels, though, right? No! They were playing backup, former Las Vegas Raider, former Tennessee Titan, former Philadelphia Eagle, former Atlanta Falcon, journeyman Marcus Mariota. Yeah, he took a stray there, but it's the truth. Do you remember when they lost to Baker Mayfield under Josh McDaniel and we thought that was the worst it could get? It turns out it could be worse. The offensive line is terrible. Ashton Genty does not look like he's going to be a superstar, and it could be the offensive line. It could be. It very well could be. Geno Smith, I told you he wasn't the answer, and they signed him to a giant contract. This is not the direction the Raiders need to go. They need a full rebuild, and they need someone that can handle a full rebuild, and I don't know that that's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is the oldest coach in the NFL, and you're relying on him to turn around a team that has been bad, made 2 playoff appearances. I will give them that since 2002. That is 23 years. 23 years of insignificance. It's not going to change with Geno Smith. It's not going to change with Pete Carroll. It's going to change with an entire overturn of this roster. It is rebuild time. And they've come just far enough from John Gruden literally and Mike Mayock destroying the roster, literally creating a worse team when they came in to create a better team. And there's nothing you can do about the Henry Ruggs stuff. But it's going to take full-scale changes for the Las Vegas Raiders to be good. 23 years of incompetence, of being terrible. I've said they've taken big swings on coaches, and I can respect that. But there needs to be something done in the personnel department. They need to take the power from whoever has it, and they need to make better decisions. They're going to lose Max Crosby. He is going to request a trade, much like Myles Garrett did. Now, are they going to remedy this by paying him? Maybe. But they're going to lose literally their only player that is worth watching, maybe besides Brock Bowers. But Chip Kelly doesn't seem to know how to run an offense through a tight end. Like, this has also been terrible. Chip Kelly's offense has been terrible as well. Like, what are we doing here? Now, you're going to come at me with they had a good stats. It was garbage time. The team looked bad when it mattered. You can't always fall to garbage time. Remember Blake Bortles? He was good in garbage time too. Enough of this. It's not even mediocrity. It's bad. They are bad. They're a bad football team. All right? You lost to a backup quarterback in an injured Washington Commanders team. You couldn't win there. Okay? You couldn't put up anything against division rival, the Chargers. So what are we still waiting for here out of the Las Vegas Raiders to say enough? Enough's enough. It needs to be overturned. Everything needs to be overturned. They need to start from scratch. They need to build draft picks up. They need to clear cap space, and they need to start from scratch. And scratch is not signing old-ass Geno Smith, who was a journeyman his entire career, didn't really do anything in Seattle. He resurrected his career because he was able to make that team serviceable. What did they win? All right, enough with the Raiders. Let's move on to the Cowboys, who I'm sure their fans feel a lot like me today after they got smashed by the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson finally got to have a coming out party, and it was against it was against the Dallas Cowboys. And man, did they whoop up on the Dallas Cowboys. Schottenheimer had no answers for what Ben Johnson was throwing at him. And Caleb Williams finally got to find some sea legs here against an NFL team because he hasn't been good. I mean, he had the 5 touchdown performance in England, and that was it last year. He didn't do much of anything else. This team is loaded for bear. If Chicago can get rolling, they have a solid team. They need to do something at running back, and the offensive line needs some work. But Ben Johnson is a good coach. He's a coach I still have faith in, and the Cowboys are just not a team I have faith in at all. That defense does not look good. They should not have traded their best defensive player. They don't look good in the secondary. They were getting burnt all over the field in this game against that Chicago Bears receiving core. It's interesting to watch what's going on in Dallas right now, but I think it's the end of the road. It's boys to men all over again. It is done for the Dallas Cowboys this season. They are not in a position where they can continue to lose the way they're losing. They are not in a position where they can lose to teams the likes of the Chicago Bears, but they keep doing it. They had no business winning against the New York Giants last week, and this week it was proven by their performance against the Chicago Bears. The Dallas Cowboys are not a good football team, and they have an okay offense. CeeDee Lamb goes out, and you have a less than okay offense. So I'm not sure what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do moving forward, but it does not look good. Let's get to the place where I have to humble myself, and don't worry, I've got one more place where I can be right. I got to humble myself with the Packers. They lost to the Browns. Now, granted, I'm still right about that defense. That defense is fantastic. The Packers defense is fantastic. The problem is the Browns defense is the best defense in the NFL. And if you have Red Zone, you heard Scott Hansen say that repeatedly this week about how good that Browns defense is and how they are the best defense in the NFL and how they are only being restricted by the capabilities of their offense. And man, are they restricted by the capabilities of their offense, because that defense is insane. Myles Garrett is decoy so far. Myles Garrett is destruction embodied in human form. Myles Garrett is on a tear this season. He is going to win Defensive Player of the Year if he doesn't get hurt. If he can keep playing at this level, he's got that award in the bag. This Browns defense is nothing to be messed with. The problem is the Packers offense couldn't do anything. The Packers offense couldn't do anything. It was a defensive struggle the entire game. So Jordan Love's got to figure this out. I thought he was good enough, and I thought Matt LaFleur was a good enough play caller to get around a situation like this. But when you make no adjustments coming out of halftime, you're going to lose this game, especially against a defense that doesn't intend on giving you any inches. You're not getting anything from the Cleveland Browns defense, and that was shown this week. And they did it against what I thought was a high-powered offense in Green Bay. Now, right now, we've got a lot to look forward to from the Green Bay Packers. Remember, Minnesota Vikings lost a head-scratcher to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they went 15-1 in their season with Randy Moss and Randall Cunningham going absolutely nuts. So who knows? Maybe this is just that bump in the road that, oh my God, how did they lose that game? But the Green Bay Packers made me look bad for saying they look like the best team in the NFL this year by losing to what could be the worst team with the best defense in the NFL this year. And we got to get back one more time before we close. Let's give a congratulations to the Indianapolis Colts, who look unreal, and we don't really know if they're going to be able to keep this up. Tennessee Titans are not a good football team. Danny Dimes, Indiana Jones, whatever you want to call him now, I don't know if he can stay at this level. I watched him for 5 years already not be this good. Maybe he found himself. Maybe he's turned over a new leaf in Indianapolis. But right now, the Colts are rolling, so hats off to them. I think I picked them to finish last in their division and to their first in their division. I'm wrong there, but I'm looking like I'm right about Ohio State quarterbacks. I had to back off of C.J. Stroud, and right now we could blame it on the offensive line. Maybe it's the offensive line. He looked really good his rookie season, but he hasn't done anything since his rookie season. Are we going to see anything out of C.J. Stroud at all moving forward? Is this going to be Fry was once again right about Ohio State quarterbacks, or is this going to be the year where they're able to turn it around? Because that offense has to do something right now. The defense in Texas, the defenses look great around the league, just to be real. But right now, the defense in Houston looks to be what is propping up that team that was so exciting to watch a couple years ago on offense. And I don't know that that's a sustainable model for success for a young quarterback. This could break C.J. Stroud, and this could prove me right in saying Ohio State quarterbacks can't make it at the next level. Now, we've got a game to look forward to tonight in the Lions and Ravens. It's got a 4.5, Ravens are a 4.5 point favorite, but I think that the Lions are better than people think. I think they're better than they showed against the Green Bay Packers. I think they're more along the lines of what they showed against the Chicago Bears. So I'm going to go ahead and take the points and take the Detroit Lions tonight. Hopefully I'm right, and hopefully we see you next time on the SadFan.
Back to the block, I'm scamming. Back in the shop, I'm scamming. Get it off a dummy, I'm scamming.